What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods, and we are reviewing UFC Vegas 20. And good lord, good lord. But I am, according to Woods, joined by former U of MMA champion Pius Inolo Lobo, better known as Voodoo Maximus. Yeah, and this
What's up, my brother? How you doing, man?
doing great, doing great. And thankfully we got the StreamYard working this time because it didn't work this morning. But UFC Vegas 20. If you were to sum it up with one word, Voodoo, what would you say? UFC Vegas one. I mean, not 120. UFC Vegas 20. Summed up in one word. What would that be?
Hey, man, it reminds me of when Chael Sonnen won that match, and he got on the mic with Joe Rogan, and Joe's like something, 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 and he said, "Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck." That's what it was like, man. It absolutely sucked. I mean, there were key matches in there that I enjoyed, but it absolutely sucked.
Well, I love that I asked you for one word and you gave me 15 words to describe a two-word. Hell yes, that's what we do here. But, I mean, we might as well get this show on the road because, I mean, we had a shit ton of fights fall off. You know, we had Alex Oliveira and I mean, fuck, you already know. Go to Topology, that's that. But we started off the night with Dustin Jacoby against Maxim Gershon. And this one was one of the first of many, many decisions. And, geez, can you even remember this fight?
Yeah, I remember all of them. Dustin Jacoby fight was pretty well. Maxim was the stronger fella. You know, he was flat footed. Dustin, he moved really well. He moved really well. However, his striking hasn't caught up to his movement yet. You know, he was able to win by sticking and moving, but he needs to put it together a little bit more. His footwork is better than his striking itself. So he was able to pull out a unanimous decision win. I don't know how, but he did it.
Yeah, he did it. He definitely did it. Much to, I don't know. Fuck, it was weird. Don McGuire, shout out to Don McGuire, and I'm glad that he's doing okay after the medical procedure that he had done earlier this week. He says, "Yeah, I watched Canelo." I also watched Canelo back when they were doing the last Canelo Triple G fight, and they had an open workout at the Bank of California Stadium, and like Triple G is probably one of the best human beings, especially boxers, not just because of his fighting prowess. People, again, soccer stadium where the LA Football Club basically play, and people were throwing stuff for him to sign. He had one of his managers and handlers literally catch the thing, he signed it, and had them throw it back. So I have in my kind of shed a signed Triple G poster, which is awesome, right? Canelo, same deal, and he basically was there late and everything like that. And as soon as he was out of the ring, you couldn't see him. Like he went into John Cena. Like you couldn't see that motherfucker, and there was little kids crying. So I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, fuck Canelo. I'm just saying. He's not a man of the people. Triple G is a man of the people. So shout out to Triple G. And it sucked. It sucked too, my brother. It's 100%. And Voodoo, don't sugarcoat it. Oh yeah, this is. I mean, this one is a dog shit card. This one, I mean, and I'm not trying to say anything about the fighter. Like, anybody that puts their lives on the line to basically do this, kudos to you. Now, is that going to attract you more money? Fuck no. And my friend lost, right? My friend lost. Our friend lost. So we're getting into it. We had none other than Ronnie Lawrence versus Vince Cachero, the anomaly. And Ronnie Lawrence basically finished Vince Cachero. Vince is a friend. Total disclosure. So I want to see my friends win. And if you're looking, and we brought this up, Rafa Esparza does the Grappling Hour watch along for all of the UFCs, and he was just like, usually he gives a toast to people that finish their opponents, but he was just like, shit, you finished my friend. So yeah, this is the most beleaguered toast that you're gonna get, Ronnie Lawrence. And I'm like,
Yeah.
guess what? If you want to see Ronnie Lawrence get praised, well, guess what? Ronnie Lawrence, your friend started a podcast to praise you because you fuck. What are you gonna do? Your fucking friend.
Yeah.
I'm a friend of Vince, so I mean, kudos to you for the fucking win, but you fucking won.
Yeah.
You beat my friend. So
Yeah. Well,
salty. Salty AF.
this particular matchup, it was a case of flow state and free flow. That's all it was. Ronnie Lawrence was able to take it to that second and third level. He was able to initiate. By the way, they first started with the boxing. Vince was all over him, tearing him up on the boxing tip. Even though he was a smaller fighter, he was making up that distance, getting in there, in and out, doing whatever he had to do. And then Lawrence was like, "Hey, this little dude's about to derail my welcome." And then he initiated the wrestling immediately because of his height and length. He was able to scoop Vince up and dump him on the ground and keep him on the ground for entire rounds. And he just kept doing that until he was able to land a specific shot. I believe it was a front kick that hit him in the liver. Once that hit him in the liver, he was able to swarm him and do what he did and jump on his back and pound him out.
Yeah. Hopefully we see Vince back into the octagon. This is almost a similar situation that Vince's former teammate, the one and only former CXF champion Terrion Flash Ware, kind of got, where I mean, the toughest of levels of competition, your first fight is essentially a short notice fight. This is eerily similar to Terrion's run in the UFC. So I don't know if that's what McMaynard or whatever intended, or maybe I just have a fucking tinfoil hat. That could be it, but I think it's strange. And
Hey, the only advice I can give Vince is to improve that kicking game. He needs to kick more because his arms aren't the longest weapon that he has. He throws them pretty well, but he's got to balance that out with his legs as well. You know what I mean? When you deal with all people like this, the kicking has to improve, or you have to kick more than you punch. It's pretty much what I'm saying. Chop his legs off. You know what I mean? And ankle kicks, or not ankle, calf kicks. I mean that should have been plentiful in this instance. It didn't happen. I'm sure he'll go back to the drawing boards and figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. And Don McGuire says, I saw better fights in St. Louis. That must have been Andre the Giant versus Bruiser Brody at Wrestling at the Chase. I hope you're talking about that. No disparaging to any of the regional promotions in St. Louis, where there's a ton and a lot of amazing talent from them. But for my money, I hope you're talking about Andre the Giant versus King Kong Brody. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, speaking of going with, I mean,
Yeah.
specifically, I think that the UFC brought Alexis Davis in to essentially be a tin can to Sabrina Mazo. A long period of
Mhm.
inactivity for Davis, but man,
Mhm.
Davis, I'm not saying that she's going to be a future world champion anytime soon, but I mean, she basically
Mhm.
shit in the Cheerios of anybody that wanted Sabrina Maza just to maul her.
This particular match very interesting. She the calf kick in this particular matter. I was expecting a younger fighter to be the one to do so, but she didn't even make it to flow state. Not to talk about free flow state. She was there punching like it was some type of boxing match, and I could not understand why all she was doing was punching. Alexis Davis mixed in the wrestling. She was like, you know what? I don't even need wrestling. I'm just gonna kickbox this chick, and that she did. She kicked the lead leg pretty good. The calf uh, damaged it pretty well. She mixed everything up perfectly. She went into free flow. Alexis Davis at that age was able to move into free flow and dominate this Mazo young lady, and that was that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So shout out to one Alexis Davis showing that old school is still cool,
Hmm.
especially against the young upstart. And here we go. We've got Thiago Moises and Alexander Hernandez. And this one, again, yet another decision in this. I mean, I think in the entire card, we had one finish. Yeah, we had one finish, and that was Ronnie Lawrence against Vince. So, like, literally, I'm almost thinking like all of the fights that got canceled, maybe that was the sizzle. Maybe those were the fights that were going to have a lot of like exuberance and what have you. I don't know, but
Who knows?
again, this one wasn't awesome. Wasn't
Yeah.
awesome.
Thiago Moises versus Alexander Hernandez was quite interesting to me. Thiago Moises, being a Brazilian, being an effective Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist, you would assume that he would initiate a whole lot of jiu-jitsu in his game and destroying Alexander Hernandez. It was the actual opposite. He stood and he banged with Alexander Hernandez in free flow state. In free flow state. He just wasn't in flow state. He was in free flow state. Alexander attempted to enter free flow, and he was in there periodically. He didn't mix it up as well as Thiago Moises did. Thiago Moises threw leg kicks with his front leg. He punched. He threw cat. He did everything. He did everything. He threw spinning kicks. He did everything. He put it together. He did not even use his jujitsu at all. He didn't feel was necessary, and he was able to take the 3-round decision. It was quite an interesting matchup. I wasn't expecting that. He shocked me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought that Hernandez was going to take this one pretty decisively, just kind of punch him up on the feet, but that didn't happen at all,
Mm-hmm.
at all. So yeah, man, it's yeah, this is. I mean, it is what it is. A hard fought battle, but again, one that didn't yield a definitive result. This one went to a decision, right? Unanimous, but even still decision. Couldn't finish it. So you kind of wonder, does that talk to the wherewithal of Alexander Hernandez, or maybe there's holes in the game of Thiago Moises that were his inability to finish. So I don't know, whatever the hell. But I mean, we're kind of that was the prelim, 4-fight prelim, and if you wanted to get the bang out of your buck, I mean, all of these ones except for one, right? The first four fights essentially went to the full 15-minute duration, right? So we start off the main card with the hard hitting hillbilly Kelvin Kroom against one Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one where I'm sorry, folks. If you're a Alex Caceres fan, I don't know why. I never want to see this motherfucker in the cage again. I don't. I don't. I'm good. I'm good. This experiment is over, right? Him being
But
a future world champion, him being a exciting fighter beyond just the gimmick of his hair. Because again, he cut a lot of his hair off, and he's no less exciting, right? Back at UFC 199, UFC 199, almost 100 UFCs ago, I walked into the forum, and I mean, Caceres was fighting, and everybody was just like, "Oh, that's cool." Like Bruce Leroy, I heard about him. No, 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 it's just cool. And like all of the enthusiasm for Alex Caceres basically was dashed in the line of like you started yelling, "Get up!" and "I can beat him" and shit like that. So, here we are, close to like UFC 199. We're about to be at UFC 259, and he's still the fucking same. So I don't want it.
um,
Like you were talking about his ability on Thursday, Voodoo, about just knowing how to win to keep his job, right? I don't want it. I fucking don't want it. Like no more
if
Alex Caceres. I'm good.
if you also if you also remember we talked about he is the gatekeeper of the division. If you can beat him, then you are surely a contender, right? Kroom is not a contender. That's just the bottom line. Kroom was tired by the end of the second round, going into the third. Even though he's got a lot of heart, he's tough. He's very tough. He tried to utilize his wrestling and submission prowess. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. Alex Caceres is a marathon runner in this game. If you don't knock him out, he will outwork you. He will outwork you. If you don't go in there, cut him off, and you smash him, he will outwork you, and he will steal the match. And that's what he did. We expected, if you remember correctly, we expected him to do exactly what he did. We
Bore
knew
us
he
to
was going to
fucking
do
death.
this.
Bore us to fucking death.
It takes
100%.
two to tango. It takes two to
Oh,
tango.
that's cool. Then Kroom, bye. Hard hit hillbilly somewhere else. Like, I'm good. I'm good on. I mean, if that's the case, then I'm good on both of y'all. Adios, man. That what is it? The guillotine that Dana White was promising. Here you go, right here. Look here, please. Got it. I'm good. I'm good. To me, this kind of lessons, and you were saying, Caceres is essentially the gatekeeper, right? Well, here's the thing. He's the gatekeeper of what, right? What do you really gain at basically fighting Caceres? You might get your ass whooped in a fucking like indecisive, boring ass fight, and if you beat him, are you going to win any more fans? Are you going to gain any more Instagram followers or Twitter or whatever or sponsorship? Shit that actually makes money. Like, is the UFC going to pay you any more because you beat Alex fucking Caceres? I think not. I think not. And last night proved it. So I'm good. And you hear even the fucking post side. He's just like, I just want to fight. Just want, fuck, man. Go,
He's
do that
finally
fucking
calling.
backyard shit, dude.
He's finally calling for the top 15. He said, "I would like anyone in the top 15." At least he used his post in the fight interview appropriately. You got to give him that.
And if you're suffering from fucking sleep apnea, watch this fucking fight again. Please do. And you'll be cured. You'll be cured. Jesus. Ugh. It was bad. It was bad. But this actually turned around because the fight of the night, and it's something that you, Voodoo, definitely predicted, right? We had El Terror, Jimmy Rivera, against Pedro, the young Punisher Munoz. And obviously, this was a rematch of their previous fight way back in the day. I would say close to 5 years ago. But it was all, I mean, this one was amazing. I went to them like nobody else, in my opinion, deserved any bonuses but this, right? If there were fight bonuses and whatever, usually they give out 4. Well, guess what? Here's the thing: you give all of the fight bonuses, right? If theoretically speaking, it's 4 fight bonuses that they give a night, right? Well, I'd say 100,000 goes to Rivera and 100,000 goes to Pedro Munoz. This saved the card. If not for this card, I mean, if not for this fight, this card would be absolute trash. Absolutely trash. Do you think that anybody is going to be watching this UFC Vegas 20 card back on ESPN Plus? No. Well, were there any highlights? Was it trending on Twitter? Okay.
Not really.
But again,
I didn't see Little Wayne on tweeting about it this time around.
Yeah. So this, by all intents and purposes, should have been the main event. It should have been.
Yeah, you're right. This particular matchup, you said 5 years ago was the first time these two young men went to battle, and it was quite a battle. And Pedro Munoz, I believe, won that one as well, right? He won that first one?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, there was a secret ingredient. One minor tweak. The same tweak Dustin Poirier used in his second match, right? In his first match, he went for the kicks, but he went for the thigh kicks. In the second match, he went for the calf kick. And that's what Pedro did. Pedro went in there and immediately started pounding on that calf. He pounded and pounded and pounded, but Jimmy Rivera proved to be really, really tough human being. I mean, you could clearly see that the leg was compromised, but he fought through it for 15 minutes. He fought through it for 15 minutes, and he's throwing bombs. Any one of those bombs that he threw could have knocked out Pedro Munoz. But luckily for Pedro Munoz, his movement upon landing the calf kick, his movement was initiated right away to get out of the way of those bombs. And he just kept doing that, sticking when he had to, sticking and moving for 15 minutes. I mean, occasionally he went to war, but not really. He played the game smart. He fought wars when he needed to, and he chopped the tree down when he needed to, immobilizing Mr. Jimmy Rivera severely, at least immobilizing him some 20% of his power. And Pedro had the advantage the whole time. All he had to do was keep the lead. He kept the lead, and he got the unanimous decision, plus $50,000 for him and his buddy.
Yeah, man. So I think it should have been up for an extra, you know, $50,000 for each of them, but obviously that went to one. What's his face? Ronnie Lawrence. It went to Ronnie Lawrence
Mm-hmm.
because he was the recipient of the only finish of the
Submission.
night. So
Mm-hmm.
I, I get it there. I get it there. But still, this is, by all intents and purposes, the most memorable thing about this fight card, right? And the doldrums that was UFC Vegas 20 continued once more because we had in a majority draw, a draw, Montana de la Rosa and Mayra Bueno Silva. And I mean, I honestly thought that, Mayra would have just thwarted, just completely demolished Montana de la Rosa. Thought it was going to happen. It didn't. Um, the thing that haunts me the most about this particular fight is if they run it back. If they run this fight back, we're going to get a lot of the same, right? So this is not, theoretically speaking, it holds up a division when you have a draw like this. They have to run it back to see where everyone is placed. This is one that I want to see again. I don't care about the rankings. Like never again should these two paths meet. Never again. Never again. Let's not do that. Yeah.
This particular match was quite interesting because Montana de la Rosa understood in order to beat a person of the caliber of Silva, she had to mix it up with everything she had, and she did. She tried to do that. She used the boxing. She did some kicks, not that much. She used a whole lot of wrestling, and she tried to submit. But how do you submit a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt? It's not gonna happen. Surprisingly, though, the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, Mayra Bueno Silva, utilized a lot of Muay Thai in her game, which you could see on Montana's face. She was pretty swelled up. She was leaking everywhere. But Silva did not use any jujitsu. I didn't understand that. Why wouldn't you use what got you to the game? Why wouldn't you use what makes you you? I understand you like to strike now, but don't forget who you are or where you come from. Don't forget who you are or where you come from. You come from jujitsu. I understand you're trying to be a complete fighter, but you're going from one end of the spectrum to the other opposite end of the spectrum. Your job is to meet in the middle. You bring jujitsu with your striking, meet in the middle, and then you enter free flow state. You try to be in flow state, but flow state is the thing of the past. Football players get into flow state. Get into flow state. Jiu-jitsu players get into flow state. The only athlete on the planet that gets into free flow is the MMA artist because they are the only one that puts everything together. Every other athlete are stuck in flow state. None of them have the ability to make it into free flow because their sport doesn't allow for them to make it into free flow. MMA is the only sport on this planet that makes it into free flow. And she elected to stay by choice, elected to stay in flow state, which is be like everyone else. MMA fighters need to understand that they are not like anyone else. They are special. They are the cream of the crop. Tom Brady to the UFC to watch the UFC fighters. LeBron James comes to UFC to watch the UFC. Shaquille O'Neal comes to UFC to watch the UFC fighters. Boxers, Canelo and them, comes to the UFC to watch the UFC fighters. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather Jr. comes to the UFC to watch UFC fighters. Not one of those people will ever dare step into the MMA cage because they understand they are limited. They are stuck in flow state. And they're great at being in flow state, but to access free flow, only one athlete can do that, and that's the MMA athlete. They need to realize this and start working towards that because Myra Buena Silva has no one to blame but herself in losing this match. She could have gotten a submission, and she elected to do otherwise.
Yeah. Now, you said that the only athlete that can basically enter to free flow state is mixed martial artists, and I do agree with you. But what the fuck are those people at the hot dog eating competitions? What are they doing?
That's flow state. That's flow
But
state.
not free flow?
They're only using one technique.
They dip the water, and then that's two techniques.
That's okay. Two. Like football players catch the ball and then they run. Two. No one gets into the threes and the fours and the fives and the six. No one. No one. But MMA fighters. And if anyone disputes that, please step up and we can have a conversation. No
Yeah,
other
well,
athlete on this planet, no other athlete on this planet uses so many different arts in one.
yeah, you've never seen me play football, Voodoo, because I will run. The ball's coming, I will run and then catch it, but it was 30 yards behind me. So, just saying. Not saying it's a great ideology. I'm just saying you've never seen me play, is what I'm saying. I am the
every
Dennis
every
Rodman. I am the Dennis Rodman of football. I will show up in a dress and eyeliner. What? I mean, what? Wait. Anyway. Anywho. Anywho. We are at the co-main event of the evening. We have Magomed Ankalaev against Nikita
Mhm,
Krylov, and I
mhm,
thought that Nikita was going to win because his last name is like that Krylon or Krylov paint, spray paint, and whatever. I thought that was the case. I was like, oh, he's basically going to spray paint Magomed Ankalaev, and it's going to be good. But I totally misjudged what my prediction was because it seemed like Nikita was actually huffing paint because
mhm,
he loses to Magomed in a decision that, again, if you weren't asleep before this fight in the Montana De La Rosa Maribano Silva fight or any of the other ones that aren't Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera, well, this one you're pretty much asleep. I
mhm.
hope. I hope. But
Uh, if you paid attention to the commentating in this particular matchup, every single one of those commentators were pulling for Nikita Krylov to win this match. But unfortunately, he's in there against the juggernaut, Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed is one man that most people in his weight class would not want to deal with. Nikita, you can tell by the way he approached the fight, even though he tried his best to access free flow, he did his best. He kicked, he did everything. He wrestled, he did everything possible. But there was a fear of getting his lights shut out. And I understand because Magomed is not like anybody he's ever seen before. He's never been in that kind of situation before. So the way he performed, I totally understand. I totally understand because in his mind, he's in there with a man that has a knife and he only has his hands. He's in there with a man holding a knife and he's only had it. He only has his hands. Not only can this guy use his knife pretty well, he can use his hands pretty well too. So going in there, he had a handicap. Magomed in his mind was a superior striker, powerful hands. Even the commentators were saying that, oh man, he'll knock you out with his left and his right. Blah 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 blah. And that kind of played in his mind, and you could see by his performance, he's a fantastic, phenomenal striker. But there was a fear of getting his life put out, and he was kind of hesitant. He didn't really let go, especially in that third round. He didn't really let go. He allowed himself to get put on the fence, taken down, and then dominated. Magomed did what he had to do. See, he when you deal with a person like Krylov and you're Magomed, there's no need. There's no need to risk a potential knockout, because even though Krylov was a little hesitant, he's got the potential to knock Magomed out. Magomed knows that, but at the same time, he wasn't letting that hold him back. So he initiated his wrestling, and he did what he had to do to win by unanimous decision. I'm not mad at him. I feel Magomed made the right move by not risking anything. Now he goes up in ranking. Now, if you want to throw him in there against a top 10, a top 8, a top 5, now it's okay for him to risk his ranking, his spot, risk his record, someone more formidable. That makes more sense. So I'm not mad at Magomed for doing what he did at all.
I mean, I'm mad that I wanted to fight and I got, what is it? There's is it Xanax? Is it what are those sleep medications? That's what I got. That's what I got. Which, I mean, the hits just kept on coming, or lack thereof, because we are at the main event of the evening. We have the continually undefeated Cyril Gahn against Jairzinho Rosenstrike. And here's some takeaways that I came out with. Jairzinho Rosenstrike reminded me of Damon Wayans' character in The Great White Hype. That's one. I also think that Rosenstrike was looking at whatever the hell that is on Gagne's chest. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's his third eye. Maybe I don't know. But whatever reason, yeah, it's supposed to be here, but apparently it's in Gon's chest. So there's that. But this one was essentially, if you're a wrestling fan, this is the equivalent to Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. That's two lumbering whatever, and one just didn't look like he knew what he was doing, and the other one that was trying to meander him to a decent performance. So yeah, I mean, in this instance, Gon was Undertaker, and Giant Gonzalez was Jairzinho Rosenstrike, which, again, Rosenstrike, some of the most chaotic KOs in UFC heavyweight history, splitting the lip of the great Alistair Overeem, just like, I mean, but here's the thing. I no longer want to see either man, like, Gone in win. Yes, he retained his undefeated record. That's awesome. Kudos to you, good sir. All right, but is Jairzinho Rosenstrike a top 10 heavyweight? I don't regard him as such. Not anymore. Not after he might say it in the rankings. And again, this is where the rankings is just like, it's all weird, and maybe, Rosenstrike comes out and Gone too. I mean, Paulo Costa said, hey, he was nursing a hangover going into the fight with Israel Adesanya, right? So that's that. So hopefully they're both hungover, which, why in this day and age would you do such a thing before a main event fight? I don't know, but I'm not a fighter, so whatever. But again,
Okay.
here,
Okay. Let me jump in here real quick and set the record straight. These two big giant human beings. If one of them connects, do you agree it's a knockout?
yeah,
Right? Okay. Okay. Now, for them to get in a position where they connect, they have to risk their health. Would you agree?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Now, how much are they getting paid for them to risk their health like that. How much are they getting paid? How much does Jorginho get paid? What,
Not an
fifty
extra
thousand
fifty
dollars?
thousand dollars.
Fifty
Not
thousand
that.
dollars to fight? $50,000 to fight? $50,000 to win? You know what I'm saying? How much is Cryo gain? How much did he get paid? 25,000 to fight? 25,000 to win? Hey man, Canelo just fought some bum, and I'm sure he got like $4 million. And he fought a bum, a guy coming off a loss. If you Dana White, I love you, Dana, but I got to tell you the real, man. You want these fellas to go out there and give you the show that you're looking for, but then you're not compensating them like they deserve to be compensated. This is facts. This is facts. If I'm Krylo gone, I'm gonna do exactly what he did. I'm gonna use my footwork. I'm gonna stick and move, take him down when I can, burn the clock, keep my health, keep my undefeated record, and move up in ranking. That's the only smart thing to do in a situation like this. I know the path to victory when I'm facing Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Jairzinho cannot kick above his waist. He cannot kick above his waist. He doesn't even really kick at all. I mean, he threw like 4 or 5 kicks in the entire 5 minutes, but he doesn't really kick. Now, should Krylov have thrown more front kicks? Yes. I'm not talking about the tips that the Thai boxers use. I'm talking about that snapping front kick. Kind of like that snapping jab that he was throwing that was working so well. Perhaps he should have done more of that and looked a little more busy. Front kick to that solar plex. Front kick to that belly of his. Jab him in the face. Just keep doing stuff, that long range action to keep the man off of you. If you throw enough of those front kicks to the belly, it's gonna. Hey, I've taken those. They don't feel good. They don't feel good. Sooner or later, you keep Jairzinho back where he belongs, and he could piece him up. You know what I mean? Were there any calf kicks? No. No. Does he know how to wrestle? No. I mean, the man said, take him like rugby or something like that. Like rugby rush him or something ridiculous. He made a comment like that. Rugby rush him? What is that? What is a rugby rush? What is that? I mean, I think
Shoulder and shoulder.
I think it's called double leg takedown.
It's
So
shoulder and
clearly,
shoulder. You just saw him clinch like this. Like that's a rugby rush. Like don't even know whatever. The ball gets lost wherever the hell, and you just whatever, and somehow it drops down and whatever, and you still move like that. That's a rugby rush. It
now
doesn't make sense to me.
this brings us to one person that's of interest to me, Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou was with the same coach as a cryo game. Same coach. He bounced. Why did he bounce? Because he's from Africa, man. He's from Africa. He knows good when he sees it. He's like, yo, man, thank you. Thank you for getting me to the big game. But you cannot teach me what it takes to get to that top level. I mean, I went with you and I made it to the top level against Stipe Miocic, and he pieced me up and he out wrestled me. You can't get me where I need to be. I gotta go to Las Vegas. What was that man's name again? I gotta find me Randy Couture. Randy Couture and his people to get me where I need to get. Now, Cryo Game, he's got mad potential. The way he fights is the way to the championship. Stick and move. He's got dynamic striking as with such a giant human. The dude is like 6'4", 6'5", striking like he's striking. Now he needs someone like Dwayne Bang Ludwig to take his game to the next level. He needs a Dwayne Bang Ludwig, and he needs like a Brian Peterson to improve his wrestling, and the sky will be the limit for this young man. If he is smart, he will go the French route himself because he's got what it takes to be the best. He's got what it takes to beat Francis. He can beat Francis Ngannou right now. With the way he fights, he can beat Francis. All you need is footwork. All you need is footwork. Frustrate Francis with the footwork, hit the angles, and it's over with. It's over with. Francis is slow. He's very powerful, but he's slow. This Gagne or Gani, whatever. I don't care what his name is. That guy, that guy right there, he's got very good straight shots, not the looping shot, the straight shots. That's the kill shot. The straight shot is the kill shot. You want to be successful in the heavyweight division, you got to have the straight shot. Hey, when John Jones gets in his weight class, he's gonna clown every one of these dudes. Every one of these dudes will get clowned because he's too fast for them. He's not gonna be doing some rugby rush. He's gonna be doing blast doubles, single legs, ankle picks. You know what I mean? The level is just too high. The intelligence is just too high. Now, all those young boys that we saw last week, now when you bring them boys up to go against these guys, they're gonna shine too. You put any one of those guys from last week in there against Jairzinho Rosenstruck, they will beat Rosenstruck too because he's a one-dimensional type fighter. The furthest he can go is flow state. Carl Gagne, he can make it into free flow. He just needs someone to train him and improve his skills and make him sharper. Right now, he's working with a dull knife. He's working with a dull knife. When you make him sharper, he will be the most dangerous heavyweight in that division because he knows how to use that lead leg. I haven't seen a heavyweight yet that uses that lead leg like he does. Until the rest of them learn that lead leg, I don't see anything happening. I just don't see anything happening.
Yeah, man. And what I don't want to see happen is any more of them. I'm good. We've seen what both men can do or lack thereof, and you essentially in a main event, slot delivered the heavyweight equivalent to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Tyron Woodley with less skill. With less skill. So again, kudos to you for John for maintaining your undefeated record. Am I going to pay to see him fight next? No, no. Am I going to get excited? You guys both, Rosenstrike and Don, are essentially they've scored 10 of 10 on my Alex Casares ratio of dull fights. Like you're number one in crap fights. Thank you. Now, the Hall of Fame inductee is the aforementioned Wonderboy versus Woodley at UFC 209. But you guys are pretty close. Again, for those who had an opportunity to show yourself to the world on on a night that nothing was going on, right? You didn't have one championship doing something. You didn't have Bellator. You didn't have LFA. You didn't have whatever else that would be running in opposition. You didn't have Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. And it was, again, on free TV. Anybody that pays $4.99 a month for ESPN Plus are essentially bearing witness to this. And again, I think there's a responsibility that you have as somebody that is in a heavyweight position and you didn't use it. So
one more thing. The blame does not primarily go on these two gentlemen because someone called them up and put this match together. They deserve the blame. It doesn't look, man. We knew what was going to happen here. We discussed it on Thursday.
We wanted the heavyweight knockout. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, we want. One thing that we want, and what was going to happen. I told you that Krylov was going to stick and move. It only makes sense to stick and move. Why would you stand there and bang with Rosenstruck? He's going to knock you out. And he came close a few times. So, who made this matchup? If they would have gone in there and brought up one of those dudes like from last week, I can't remember the dude's name. The one that trains with the
There's Bozier. There's Bozier. There was God, I can't. I have to look it back up. But
the one that beat Andrei Arlovski.
Oh, he is. Yeah, I think he's from Wales, right? Like,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So it was.
Is he ranked? He's not ranked.
No, I don't believe so. That one was Dockett. Wait. I'm sorry. Arlovsky. Aspinall. There you go.
Aspinall.
Tom Aspinall.
Aspinall.
Yeah.
I don't believe Aspinall is ranked in the top 10. You bring up Aspinall and then you offer him a eighth place. You know what I mean? Whatever Jarzinho Rosenstruck, offer him that spot and see if he don't go get it. See if he
Yeah.
don't go get it. Look, Krylov is already a top 10. He's probably like what, top 8, top whatever he is. He's up there. He has to play it smart. He's got a lot to lose. He can lose his O. You know what I mean? He could drop severely in the rankings. You know what I mean? He just beat someone who's higher in the rankings. So he gained. Even though it was a boring match, it was all gained for him. And he got his win bonus. He might not have gotten a knockout bonus, but he got his win bonus. It's all a win for him. Everyone's gonna forget this fight. Everyone's gonna forget this fight. You want to push Gagnon? Put him in there with an Aspinall. Someone who's gonna cut him off. Someone who moves as well as him. Then you will see the fight that you're looking for. You know what I mean? Like, put him in with, like, what do you expect when you put him in there with a Jarzinho? I don't want to get knocked out. I'm gonna piece him up and move, stick and move. If I'm gonna stick and move for 25 minutes, that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Look at Aspinall. Aspinall wanted that ranking that Arlovsky had. He went after him, right? Now he's up there in the top 10. But this was an easy fight. You want to see Krylov fight? You want to see him at his best? Put him in there against someone who moves like him. Then you'll see some real striking.
Yeah, 100%. But yep, that is the UFC Vegas 20 post show. But join us Thursday, because there's a big storm of brewing called UFC 259, and I swear, I hope it's better than this card. And assuming everybody's healthy and just praying for health and all involved, nobody getting COVID, nobody whatever, like. Just do it because we have 3 title fights, and I'm looking to the return of Lavinia Sousa, a former Invictus standout who has looked phenomenal in her kind of dalliances here in the UFC. So that's that. Kai Kara friends, Kyler Phillips. If you're a fan of them, definitely check out UFC 259. But as you go to UFC 259 next Saturday, you want to stop off here at Voodoo in the Woods for Thursday, our preview show of such card. So, Voodoo, where can they find you on social media, good sir?
YouTube, Voodoo Maximus. Facebook page, Voodoo Maximus. Instagram, Voodoo Maximus. Twitter, Voodoo Maximus. Voodoo Maximus.
That's it. And I'm According to Woods. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Voodoo in the Woods podcast on Facebook and YouTube. Go ahead and like and share with like-minded friends and even people you don't like. We'll take them too. Don't be shitty,
all
though.
day, every day. Hey, no.
But everybody have a great week, and we will see you on Thursday for more Voodoo in the Woods.